Peace. What's good, YouTube? It's Kareem Samadi back again with another video. So this is going to be a short one, but real quick, I wanted to talk about toxic environments and feeling trapped, right? And what the spiritual answer is for this type of thing. Because a lot of times when we find ourselves stuck in a place, or when we find ourselves in places that do not serve us, and or around people that do not serve us, we will feel trapped. And there can be an overwhelmingly amount of energy exhausted trying to remedy the situation, trying to escape from the situation, trying to, break free or destroy it in some way, because obviously no one wants to feel uncomfortable, right? No one wants to feel trapped. No one wants to feel limited. And so I've experienced this many different parts of my life, right? And the one thing that I can say, before I left for the military, right, I essentially did not feel very free, because I was 17 years old and I wanted to go out and do things in the world, right? And so I felt the military was just the right way to do that at the time, at least, right? And so, yeah. But before then, I had felt so trapped and I had felt so lost. But before I came to the conclusion that, hey, the Marines was going to be something that I wanted to do to remedy the situation, to really, start growing up, right? Before I came to that conclusion, I was all over the place, and I was seeking different solutions in different places, or I was being very stagnant simply because of the fact that I wasn't really processing properly. I wasn't looking within properly. And I found out that because I myself, and many other people, right, a lot of us choose to go to the military simply because of the fact that we don't like the situation that we live in at home. We want to escape. Some people are coming up out the hood, trying to get out, right? Some people are in a toxic family situation. Some people just do not have a good support system. Whatever the case may be, right? A lot of people are leaving for a reason. And so I was one of them. And my home situation was not ideal. And I did not feel like college was the best bet. I didn't feel like $80,000 in debt was the best bet. So I left. And that followed me, right? I learned so much in the Marine Corps, right? But I will say that feeling followed me. Even though I did grow up, even though I did make a lot of great decisions while I was there, that feeling of being trapped followed me. It followed me throughout my contract, because I ended up, initially when I first started, everything was okay. But then I ended up in a unit that really wasn't the best, honestly. And I felt stuck there when things started to go wrong for me. Towards like the third year that I was in, things started to not really go so well for me. There's a lot of political things going on, and, it led to a lot of issues, and that was my first duty station as well. So, there was a lot of, feeling trapped and everything. I tried everything I could to get out of that situation, and eventually I did, right? But it definitely left a deeper scar than I had initially thought about. And so that situation, that didn't end in the military either, right? Even after I left. And I also left because I thought that, I wanted to say, hey, I want to get away from that. I don't want to deal with that in the military anymore. And then, it followed me out into the civilian world too, because, you leave and then you start paying rent, you start working, you still feel trapped because you don't feel like you can really express yourself, do what you want to do. So it really took a lot for me to look within and to really see where this feeling was really coming from. And ideally, and realistically, you're never trapped. You're never stuck. You are just learning a lesson that you need to slow down and allow to happen, right? Our negative feelings are our best teachers, right? Because they force you to do an introspective look, right? And so for me, whatever had went on, whether it was before I went to the military, while I went in the military, I didn't process it until I left. And it takes a lot of stress, it takes a lot of pressure to form a diamond. And so when you feel trapped, when you feel stuck, when you feel like you have a lot of negative perception around where you're at in life, your environment, right? The first place that you need to look the only place that you need to look really is inside of yourself, right? Whether it's through meditation or some kind of therapy that will get you into your subconscious mind. So hypnotherapy, right? Or a therapist that knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to spirituality, psychology, or a psychologist, anything that will open up the subconscious mind. And you can do it yourself. You don't have to pay anybody. Anything that will open up the subconscious mind, meditation, will allow you to really look within yourself, watching your dreams, keeping a journal, right? It will allow you to look within yourself. And so for me, I found out that a lot of that trapped feeling was coming from built up resentment. It was coming from unprocessed feelings. And it was also, coming from not having my needs met as a child. There was a lot of different things. I wasn't having my needs met, but I was also being told that I can still have the world. A lot of fantasies being sold to me when I was younger, because obviously, your parents, they want you to believe great things about this world, right? And just a lot of stuff that I went through at school. I always had this thing of me wanting to leave a certain situation, and it kept occurring and occurring and occurring until I really started to slow down and stay still, right? Because if you feel trapped, it's because you need to stay still for a little bit, and you need to stabilize, and you need to observe what's going on within, right? See, we'll feel trapped because we're constantly trying to escape from our feelings. We're constantly trying to escape from ourselves and escape from any self-reflection, right? And I'm not saying that environments cannot be toxic, right? But that's a small part of the picture, right? Because there's still a larger picture, and the largest part of the picture is you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in. It doesn't matter what kind of environment you're in. It doesn't matter what the lesson is that you're learning. Well, that does matter, but it doesn't matter, what you think is a lesson, right? The bigger lesson is the bigger picture, right? And so if you feel trapped, it's because whatever you're doing is attracting that need to feel trapped, that need to feel stuck, right? Especially if that's a recurring pattern you found in your life, to be in situations like that. Maybe because you didn't set proper boundaries, maybe because you didn't make the right decisions at certain points, or you might have been acting out of fear, or you might, like, when you find yourself feeling trapped, a lot of times it's coming from just a mindset of escapism, right? And sometimes that'll attract the opposite thing, or it'll attract the thing to make you feel like you need to escape, right? Or, and in general, the only way you can really be trapped is if you trap yourself. It can be a mindset thing. It could be just the way that you look at certain things in life, right? You might feel, your mindset, some part of you might be reflecting being trapped, because like I said, environments and people are both mirrors to what's going on within. So we have to really understand what part of what's going on outside of us is mirroring what's going on inside of us, right? Because, if we continue to blame, if we continue to complain, we continue to run away, those problems, they're going to chase us, right? You ever heard that saying, you stop chasing something, it starts to chase you. You let go of something, it starts to follow you. The same thing occurs with your problems, except with your problems, when you observe them and you process them properly and you surrender to them, then they actually stop bothering you. But, escaping into something, or, putting yourself in a situation, that's going to make you feel secure, but not really address your problems properly, right? From a logical point of view, not from an emotional point of view, but address your problems properly. See, that's going to be what's going to separate you feeling trapped all the time versus you being able to feel free, right? Part of you doesn't feel free because you might be locking down different parts of your mind. You might be locking down your creativity, whatever the case may be. At some point, there's responsibility isn't being taken for where you're supposed to be placing it properly, right? And so that can lead to feeling trapped. And in essence, attachment can lead to feeling trapped, right? You might have a certain attachment to a certain mindset, a certain attachment to a certain way that a series of events is supposed to occur. a certain attachment to how you think life is supposed to be, how you were taught life was supposed to be. You might attach so heavily to that that you might not even realize you are beginning to create a matrix around that for yourself. Because if you're acting out of alignment, right, then you can actually begin to pull yourself away from your largest point of security and stability, which is within, right? Your foundation is within. The answers are all within. So in essence, it took me a while to figure that out because, like I said, I'm only 24 making these videos, but I'm very, very, very wise in the stuff that I have learned in regards to myself, right? And this is one of those things, and I'm not saying obviously like, I know more, because I'm sure there's people that have been through more that know more too. But, in my experience, this is what I've learned, right? If you are trapped, it's because the energy, you're not really tapping into that part of yourself that has the energy to make you feel free, right? There's issues with your inner perceptions of freedom, right? Your inner perceptions of being able to move, right? That's a root chakra issue, right? Just in general, to get things going, to start moving again. When you feel trapped, you are in essence, you're boxed in. You're boxing in your energy, and your energy can't really flow properly, and whatever the case may be, because it's not just one thing, right? For me, it wasn't just one thing. It just played out in different ways. And it wasn't the environments that I was in either. Those environments, they just mirrored it, because if I learned the lesson, it didn't matter where I went. I would still been able to be secure, right? I still would have been able to be solid, because obviously I'm able to process things within myself. Doesn't matter where I go. But I didn't have that foundation. I didn't have that understanding or that way of looking at things, because I was still growing in different ways that were more important at the time. So looking back, that's when you start to realize what was really going on. So you have to look back at your life objectively, especially when it comes to what you perceive as your mistakes. And I'm going to make a video about making mistakes in the future, but you have to look back at your life objectively all the time. And this isn't about self-improvement, but this is about transformation. This is about emotional alchemy, right? If you want to really transform and not just improve, but you want to transform, you want to get to the next level, you have to logically evaluate yourself. And see, that's so much, it sounds easy when I say that, right? But it's hard for many people, including myself, to wrap their heads around. It took me a while to really wrap my head around it, because I had an emotional way of evaluating myself, evaluating how to progress in life. I had an emotional way. I had a very reactive way of evaluating myself. And so emotional evaluation and a reactive evaluation or a reactive way of thinking will keep you feeling attached a lot of the times. It will keep you feeling trapped a lot of times, because you're not thinking in your right mind. You're acting based off of emotions, right? And that's like the ego's playground. Emotions and just raw thoughts. It's the ego's playground, But when you start to go deep within, you can pull in basically what appears as a third person point of view, which is just your higher self looking from the bird's eye point of view, right? Or it's God's guidance, right? Whatever the case may be, however you want to slice it, you have to go within to find that answer, to find that real direction, to get the ball rolling again. And so that you're not really just acting on impulse. You're not just reacting to life. You're not just having life happen to you, having life kick you in the dick. You're able to move forward because you see things from a logical point of view, and you see things from a higher point of view. You see past, present, and future all in the form of the now. But you can only do that if you look within yourself. And looking within ourselves, for many people, is scary, because we've been trained to be scared of facing our issues, facing what's in the darkness, and just keep shoving it away and replacing it with a bunch of stuff, a bunch of materials, or another person, or a job, or an environment. We've been replacing all the answers, all the guidance, all the spirit, all everything that we need, right? We've been pushing that all to the side in favor of things outside of us. But see, the thing is, those things outside of you, the more you begin to turn to those things in situations where you feel trapped, or in, you know, just in general, right? The more you turn to those things, the more you identify with those things, the more that you attach to those things so heavily, right? The less spirit you really have, or it appears that you have, right? You disconnect yourself from spirit because you become a slave to what's outside of you. So, and that's really what I want to touch on in this video, honestly. So I hope it inspired y'all, and I wish you all luck in your journey. Peace.